Guys, welcome back to the pod today. We have Sarah Lees. She's a quantum and business manifestation coach who's built a multi six-figure business in record time by combining business strategy with energetics and neuroscience-backed manifestation. She's the creator of the Quantum Energetics Academy and the mentor behind the Quantum CEO Mastermind. Sarah helps women step into their most confident, magnetic, wealthy identity so they can collapse time, build businesses that allow them to leave the hustle culture behind. Oh my God, welcome,
Oh,
Sarah.
I love that. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Riley. Thank you.
Yay! I'm so glad to have you on today. It's such a massive achievement that you've been able to like I guess around your revenue and stepping into your business over the last 9 months. So I know our audience today will be super eager to hear all some of the tips and yeah, the insight into what that means and like how you really did that. So why did you create the quantum? Why did you step into being a quantum and manifestation coach to start with? What sort of prompted that new identity for you?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a new identity because I have been obsessed with manifestation since I was like 20 years old. I'm now 41. Crazy to think. So, over 2 decades, I have been obsessed with manifestation, mindset, understanding how we can attract things intentionally into our world. It started when I obviously, like a lot of people, found The Secret, right? Watched the movie and all the things. And that's how I started to get exposed to all this. And I was just became this person who wanted to know everything about it and how to create my dream life with intention. And so that's when it all began, really like many, many years ago. And, like I would always just speak to people about manifestation because obviously I was obsessed about it. And anyone who would listen, I would be talking to them and be like, you can manifest you whatever you want. And and I would like start coaching them, without even realizing it. So it was just part of who I was. And so over time, I dabbled into, I'm like, okay, maybe I can make this like actually something I can monetize because I'm obviously obsessed about it and all the things. But us as humans, we have our limiting beliefs that crop up. So it was kind of a delayed, you know, thing that I did in my business and actually kicking that off the ground until it was nearly a year ago today. Like when I started, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually going to go all in on this now. And on
I
the
love it.
22nd of November, I was like, I'm declaring, I'm doing it. I'm going to put it out to the universe. I'm going to do it. I'm going to face all the fears and just fucking go for it. And I did. And I started to build my own, signature offer, my program, the Transformation Portal, which was my first baby. And it was all about manifestation, mindset, all of the things. And yeah, I launched my business in January this year, 2025. And that's when things just exploded because I was aligned to what I was obsessed with.
Yes, amazing. And I love that how you've described that, like align with what you're obsessed with, because
Yeah.
that really ties into some of the pieces that I teach as well. And like just following your soul. Like if you're already obsessed with something, like I was always obsessed with cards and psychic things, like that's
Yeah.
a hint to your higher self and the way you're supposed to be going, right?
Yeah, yeah. And when it's easy, you're on the right path. Like it shouldn't feel that resistance. Like, yeah, we're gonna have, our brain, the ego is gonna kick in to hold you back to the familiar. But when it's exciting and it starts to work and you're like, oh my God, and you're making an impact. I think that was the biggest thing for me is I could teach people this to change their freaking lives. And that was so exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And you touched on like it shouldn't feel hard. Can you like go into a little bit about that and like maybe why people aren't maybe they struggle to manifest and are like it doesn't it's like fake or why do people think that?
Yeah, well, obviously we have like a lot of beliefs that are, in our brain that are programmed from when we're children, and so we have these programs that are imprinted in our mind, and they're the things that play out in adulthood, and they will be the imposter syndrome that pops up. It will be the procrastination, or like I'm not good enough, or what if I'm going to be judged for failing, and all these things. And it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to actually live our best life and to rewire the things to make sure we can live our best life, right? So I think a lot of people get stuck because they're playing the pattern of predictability. And I love, like, obviously the neuroscience behind manifestation. And I bang on about this all the time. But, this is a stuff that people get stuck with and it feels hard then, but it actually isn't. And so when you can overcome that fear and when you're going through a quantum leap, and I could talk about that too, like people they think they're just not going to be able to do it. They can't actually get through because the beliefs are holding them back, but it's when you're at a quantum edge, that's when things can actually skyrocket for you. So yeah, it does feel hard, but when you're aligned with what you're doing and you push through those things when you're feeling imposter syndrome, it actually flows very easily.
Yes. And so for anyone who's kind of like new to the space, whether it's like my world or your world, and you
Mhm.
use the word quantum, like what do you recognize quantum as? You kind of have used that across things. Like what does that mean to you and for what you teach?
Yeah, yeah, I love this. Okay, so the quantum, obviously, there's a quantum field. So the way that I can explain this for your audience is the quantum field, you have multiple infinite possibilities out there. There are so many versions of you, right? And the way that I explain to my clients to really like bring it down to layman terms, just imagine the universe, right? You know that there are multiple galaxies out there. There are like a gazillion stars. And so each one of those stars represents a version of you. And so in the quantum field, right, there's a million versions of you, and you have to just think about who it is that you want to be and actually start to bring that version to your 3D reality. But that requires you to, get over any limiting beliefs, actually take aligned action, push through those, emotional edges and things like that, and act like the future version of you rather than staying in the current reality. So that's how I think of it. The quantum field, you've got a million, versions of you, and it's all about bringing that into the 3D.
It's actually interesting that you've mentioned that because I've shifted slightly from psychic work to being a channel and
Hmm.
now promoting like teaching people channeling, which is where you're co-creating because like
Yeah.
there are possibilities, right? And so when you're using the channel to co-create, that's where you're able to receive information to then, bring that into like whichever direction you choose to go. So it's really pivotal. So I really like the way you've described that because it really gives context to us and everyone listening. Um, yeah, and like, hmm, what was I going to ask? I don't know. It's just gone over my head. So what's the kind of work that you do with women, like in your containers? Like, what does that kind of look like? What are you helping
Yeah.
with them? What's the biggest thing that you feel like you're shifting with them, or the things that's usually coming up for them?
Yeah, so I help women who want to create their best lives, right? And that generally is, financial goals, it's creating a business. So really like it's about creating your dream life, but also the business that supports that dream life. Okay. And so people come to me and they, hey, say, Sarah, I don't know what I want to do, right? That could be, they're unsure of which path they want to take. Maybe they were doing something and it didn't feel aligned. It feels really hard. So we get down to what their zone of genius is. What are they obsessed about? Because again, like you need to be obsessed about what you want to do. Otherwise, when things get hard, you'll just go back to the familiar and not follow through. So it's about getting your zone of genius, what you're obsessed about, and then actually monetizing that and bringing that business to life. And that's what I help women with, creating their own signature offers so they can then have a business that supports them financially, but also that is their purpose as well.
Yeah. And you talked a bit about wealth. Like, why is it so important to you to like support women in like wealth building? Like, is that something you're passionate about? And like, I know we've briefly spoken on that in the DMs.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love obviously wealth energetics. That's a big part of my teachings as well. And, wealth to me, there's two parts of it. You can have a rich life where you're rich in like, the opportunities, you've got a beautiful family and all these things, but then there's also the actual money version of it. And I believe like if you can have both, that is like ultimate because then you can do whatever you want, right? Money in your hands can give you all the opportunities to live your best life. If you want to travel, if you want to buy those things, and there's no restrictions on that. And a lot of people, they come to me because they have money blocks, right? And they're always like, oh my gosh, like money's so hard for me to make, or if I do bring it in, it goes out 10 times faster than it came in. And these are things that we work through. We rewire their mindset around it because it's all, again, it comes down to how you grew up and your environment. So yeah, I am passionate about it because I know how many opportunities are available for you when you have money that you can actually spend to do what you like.
Yeah, 100%. And so I'd love to like talk a little bit about your own journey with this, your last sort of year in review around yourself building your business and hitting these like really big financial milestones in your business. Like I'd love to hear more about like, like I think when I hear that, I'm like, it's like lots of hard work, or, maybe that's my own belief, right? Coming through
Mhm.
as well. So,
Yeah.
can you talk to like what what that looked like for you?
Yeah, yeah. So when I started my new business in January, I really focused obviously on what it is I wanted to create. And it was really about what is the life? Like it's not just a business, what is the lifestyle that I want to have for myself? And it was, I want to be able to pick my son up from school. I don't want to have to take him to vacation care. I want to be able to travel and work anywhere in the world. And that was the lifestyle that I was visualizing. And so I was like, okay, cool. When I create my business, I'm going to make sure it supports that lifestyle. And this is where a lot of people they get, messed up is they create a business that actually rules their life. And that is not the vibe in my world anyway. And so it was about creating those foundations that supported the lifestyle I wanted. And so when I did this, and I was obviously aligned with my offer and I knew how to market it, I knew how to sell and all of these things, people were coming to me naturally. They're like, Sarah, how did you do that? Like, how have you been able to create, your first 10K month so quickly and things like that? And that naturally then progressed me into actually teaching women not just the manifestation and mindset part, but also the business strategy. And then it just quickly, again, it was like this exponential leap. And I, started teaching women exactly how I did it. And so that's when I really like fine tuned my business strategy, who it is that I want to be in this space, how do I want to help women. And in my first, 5.5 months, that's when I crossed my first six figures in business. So it was very quick and it was really, I'm not going to say it wasn't hard work because you still got to put in the reps, you still got to do the things, but it wasn't like I was dreading doing the things because I loved what I did. And
Mm,
so,
yeah.
yeah, that's how it started. And in August this year is when we had our very first $100,000 month. And I thought this was something that was so far into the future. Like I saw people doing it. I was like, how the hell do they do that? And I can honestly say that was the easiest amount of money I made because again, I was aligned. I knew what I was doing. And yeah, it just flows when you're in alignment.
Yeah, I love that. That's so important. Yeah, wow, incredible. And are you seeing like similar results with your clients? Like what's coming up in their field as well now?
Yeah, yeah. My clients are amazing. They skyrocket. I have a few spaces. So I have my Quantum CEO Mastermind. And so the women in that space, they come in and, they could be either starting out, but they sign their very first high ticket clients within a few weeks. One of my clients came to me and she's a private client. She was really struggling in her business. She was established, but she was at ground zero. And within the first 30 days, she had her first 10K month and then skyrocketed. So she's having consistent five-figure months and just recently celebrated having a $30,000 month. So my clients are doing because we don't focus just on business strategy. It is the energetic work. And I can't stress this enough. It's like you really need to work on the mindset when you're building a business, like
Mhm.
hands down.
Hmm. Wow. Okay, cool. And like, is it kind of like, is there been a core theme for the last few months that things have been coming up? Like, what's one of like the biggest pieces that you see with your clients?
Yeah, I think like everyone goes through different seasons, right? And the thing that I find and what I love is being able to support them in the wobbles because as you know as an entrepreneur, Riley, like we're going to go through the roller coaster. It's going to happen and it's really easy to start thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't had a sale today." Like, "Oh my God, like it's all falling apart." And our mind starts to play these tricks on us. But when you have support around you to be like, "No, let's zoom out. Like it's okay." And you can work through things and whether it's, we need to tweak a strategy or it's just your mindset, right? And as women, when we're hormonal, like everything seems to be going wrong. So, yeah, it's helping them through those moments. But the biggest, I think, key thing is, when people come to me, my clients come to me, it is around the money energetics. It's like they're blocking the wealth from coming because it's always been hard for them to receive. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. And so with wealth energetics, I'd love to talk a bit more on that. Like what can you speak to that more and like any high level I guess like a three I don't know, like can you speak to the wealth energetics a bit more for our audience?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think like the biggest thing is to understand where your money ceiling is, right? Because everyone has this money ceiling, it's an invisible, cap that we have on ourselves. And the way that you can identify it and you just do some reflection, right? It's like, okay, what is the income goal that I want to hit? And have I ever hit it, or if I have got to that, income goal, have I gone straight back down? And you'll know. And so we work on that money ceiling and expanding. And I like to do neuro-linguistic programming with my clients as well. So NLP practices to, do change beliefs, because again, like from the ages of 0 to 7 is when our beliefs are all formed, right? When we're programmable as kids, our brain is like taking on all the things. And being able to rewire that is going to help them. And once they have an NLP session, for example, we are able to clear things very quickly. And that's how they're able to move through, you know, any blocks with money, even procrastination on their business and things like that. So, yeah, with the wealth energetics, it always comes back to the same things. It's like, I saw my parents struggling, I wasn't good enough and things like that. And they didn't realize how much it actually impacted their whole life. But when they've cleared it, things just flow so much easily.
Wow, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what do you help spoke a little bit about being confident and magnetic. Like, where does that come from for you as well?
Yeah, I think it's about you identifying as someone who is going to be confident, who is magnetic, right? Because we've got to tell our brain what it needs to focus on.
Mm.
Otherwise, it'll just revert back to what it's familiar with. And so this is the stuff that I work with my clients is, identity shifting. And I say, who do you actually want to identify as here? You can keep going back in the loops and loops and loops, but who is it? And it's all really, it can be simply as like, I'm telling my brain, I want to focus on being someone who's confident. And yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but we've got to push through. And confidence comes from you doing things, right? Like you've got to actually do something over and over for you to actually feel confident in it, right? It's not
Yeah.
like I'm just going to be automatically confident in the things, right? I think people are like, I'm just going to grow confidence. It doesn't work like that. You've actually got to do the hard stuff to be confident in what you want to do.
I love that. Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, for sure. Mm. Not much flow state going on today.
It's
Sorry.
Friday
I was a
afternoon,
little,
hun.
yeah, I was a little bit tired before I came on. So, yeah, like I guess, yeah, interesting. Let me just tap in for a minute.
What do you feel like is confidence to you, Riley? I'd love to know.
Yeah, I feel like it's doing what you'll say you do.
Mm,
Yeah. I feel like that's been a lesson for me this year. But but I also feel like when you speak on the subconscious beliefs, I've also recognized that I've had those blocking me as to why I wasn't doing it because I wasn't feeling a safety or a safe in my body. And I've had a big journey with previous like anxiety and like my nervous system. So like I can see how that's like come out. Um, yeah, so it's interesting that you've mentioned how the subconscious blocks can block us even like taking action, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
And that's one of the things I think is probably the most frustrating thing for me to see with people coming into my world. Is like they want to do it, but they keep getting stuck and they're like, oh no, I can't do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you just, got the support or you just went all in, like your life can completely change. And I just go back to thinking to myself, like, holy crap, if I didn't make that decision a year ago, my life would not be like this at all. There is no way. Like, I don't even recognize the version I was 12 months ago, let alone 3 months ago? So, yeah,
mm.
it's taking that really bold, courageous action. And I think with confidence, it comes down to integrity with your word. Like, if you break promises to yourself, right? Then what are you doing? And when you can continue on the path and promise yourself you got to do a certain thing and follow through, you build that confidence as well.
Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah, I agree with you. I want to ask you like a different question. It just kind of came through and I like have a deep desire to have some philanthropic pieces in my life in the future. Like, doesn't feel as relevant right now, but like, what is your mission when it comes to like helping women's evolution and also for children, like for the future? Like, what do you want to see in the future? Like, women in business, women with wealth. Like, I feel like that's a big part of your own mission. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. And I talk about the ripple effect. What you do in your life and the decisions you make are going to impact everyone around you, whether you realize it or not. And I look at this with my clients, I look at this even with myself, with my son, he's only 11 years old, but he understands manifestation. He knows how powerful he is. He understands how powerful affirmations are from a little kid. And so if I didn't invest in learning about all this stuff, he wouldn't know that. And that's my greatest mission is I want to teach women how to be the most powerful creators. So this is generational. They pass this down to their own kids. I think that's so freaking amazing to be able to do that for your own children.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And like we're just in such a different like time. There's more information, there's more science, there's no more wisdom that's coming through than like ever before. So it's like when we imagine like what our kids will be have learned or be learning at our age, it's just, and I'm always like future casting of how, and
Yeah,
when I'm channeling as well, it's just crazy to think like where we'll be and like to just be teaching children now. Yeah.
I know. I wish they brought this stuff in schools, I swear. Like they should
Mm.
have, manifestation mindset at, kindy and be able to teach kids because they're so smart and that's
Yeah.
the like years that you want to be really teaching them stuff. So that's the thing. Like if we can't bring this into schools, at least do it for yourself so you can actually teach your kids as well because then
That
they get to be the powerful creators of their own life, right?
that's it. It's like how can we reach like more conscious leaders to be able to have them, you know, bring that out into their own like generational tree essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
love that.
Amazing. Hmm. Do you have any questions for me? I don't know
Yeah,
where I'm
I could ask you a whole bunch of different things.
at. Yeah, I feel like I don't know why I don't have any other questions. Is there anything you want to share or ask or
I would love to know more about how you became this person who could channel. Like, how do you start this stuff? Like, it just fascinates me.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember my mum giving me a deck of fairy cards, fairy like oracle cards when I was really little because I didn't really have a belief. I didn't really have any faith that I grew up with. And I think I was struggling with like, Mum, what happens when we die? Like, it actually gave me a lot of fear when I was really young. And she gave me these cards, and I just was like, okay, I can get an answer if I need to today. And so, then many years later in my 20s I started getting dreams, so I started getting dreams about relationships in my early 20s that we were getting married and then everything would go wrong, but we weren't even engaged with anything like that, but I was dreaming that we'd get married. Had this same dream for about 6 months, on and on and on until we finally broke up, and my higher self was knowing like, Rally, this isn't it, like it's not going to work. And so dreams have been really relevant for me when it comes to relationships and warning signs,
Wow.
or things that were coming up for me. And then, sort of mid 20s, I just started down the rabbit hole of tarot and started reading tarot, and my TikToks just like blew up. I'd get like heaps, like quite a lot of views and great community on there, and just started doing readings. And I went to a psychic, like a quite a incredible psychic, Gemma Lonsdale, and she's like, Rally, going to be channeling without any cards and be able to do all these types of things. And one day I just thought, you know what, like maybe I could just channel. And so because I'd learned all of these meanings from the cards and how to interpret the cards, I would just sit and call in my guides and set an intention to channel, and I'd start seeing the cards in my third eye.
Yeah,
And then I
wow.
just created a language with the universe. So if I heard some words, if I heard a song, I'd start interpreting that. And so it's actually about creating a language with the universe, because you could see a rose and it means something very different to me. So
Yeah.
it's just about setting the intention that I'm going to channel today. I'm going to channel in the next 15 or an hour, however long you want to sit and channel, and start recognizing how the messages come through. So I'm very clairaudient. I can hear words, sounds that come through, and I see symbols in my third eye. So it looks like your imagination.
Yeah.
Um, And a lot of people ask, like, how do you know it's not your imagination or your, if it is channeling? And it's just because I've had so many sessions with people and the confirmation with
Mhm.
them being like, yeah, that's what's happening, is like, I just knew now it's the channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. That is so amazing. And how would you like tell someone how they could start? It's just you sit there and just be open. Do you do a
Yeah, I think
ritual?
I just wrote a note this afternoon because I was actually feeling really exhausted today. And I was like, I need a channel and find out what's happening. And the first piece, I was like, in order to access the channel, it is better to be in a rest state, in your feminine state,
Hmm.
because you're receiving.
Yeah.
And when you're really stressed, so the first piece is like just lower your stress, whether that's meditation, you know, it could be exercise, like whatever the person uses to lower their stress levels. Meditation was what I used and initially started. Um, because really people are channeling without, some people know they're channeling. And it's writers are channelers, like artists are channelers. Like when you're in flow state, you're in a channel.
Hmm.
And so I'm just like deeply aware that the channel, I can turn it on like that. Um, versus other people, they don't probably say I'm a channel, but everyone is a channel because everyone can access that infinite flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'd say is like first relax and then create a language and like it's not outside of you either. Like someone's like, I saw 222 on a symbol or a car. It's like, it's quite more, it's very much more specific than that. It's about accessing it in your third eye or hearing the words or sounds that come in or even sensations in your body.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's so fascinating. I remember when I used to do really deep meditations and I this used to scare me, but I would meditate for, half an hour in complete silence and then it was like something had opened. And then I would start to hear things and, things would start to move in my room. I was like, it freaked me out. And I was like, I'm not meditating anymore like this because it was freaking me out. And I actually spoke to someone who had psychic abilities as well. She's like, you're opening a channel, Sarah, for people to speak to you and all these things. And that just petrified me. I'm like, I don't want to speak to anybody.
Yeah, so you had
Yeah.
your guides were coming through. So like that's just another layer, right? Because
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, and I think guides is very much like, for example, I didn't really believe in galactic beings, so like I would never
Mm.
receive anything like that. Versus there's been other channelers that are like, channeling the galactics and stuff. So when I started, I the first guide that I connected with was a Indian type guide, and he was just like, Riley, I'm here to help you find peace and calmness. And it was generally at a time where I was just so stressed and burnt out. So it was very aligned with what was coming up. And I think in that same week, I like saw my housemate's spirit guide on the back right before I was about to do a reading. It was the first time I'd seen like what I feel like would be form,
Hmm.
but I don't generally see form because I think I've probably had my own psychic blocks with that of actually seeing form. But I remember it's like a projection at the back of my. It kind of had come out at the back of here.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Wow.
I'll venture into that eventually. But I think it's also important, like, because there can be a lot of fear around channeling, and
Hmm.
it's like we are always in charge. So it's like whatever we want to see, like we can say, no, I don't want to see that, or no, I don't want to talk to a guide today, or this is how I want to receive messages. Like one of the other pieces that I started channeling was clairsentiently, so I could feel other people's emotions, like anger, anxiety, and that was really crippling for me because I didn't
Yeah.
understand that's what was happening. And so, sort of the last 2 years, I've kind of been like, can you send me messages that's just through clairaudiently through my hearing or visually? Because I just was like, I don't want to be like in a weird energy. I just want to be in my own energy.
Yeah. And how do you protect your energy, right? Like, because I know that's a huge thing I always talk about too, is like, energy leaks and protecting your energy because it's the most valuable thing, right? And so, what do you do to protect your own energy?
Yeah, it was interesting. I had a client, I think it was at the beginning of this year, no, but last year, no, at the beginning of this year. And I'd done some energy work on her, and then the next day, or then maybe a few days later, I went for a run and I had this stabbing pain in the back, and I was like, oh my God, because I knew it was like um ener ener energetically is not even the right word. I knew it was like psychic.
Like a
And then I
psychic
said to
attack.
my guide straight away, and one of my guides came, and I don't know who at the time. Well, it was a male, and I was like, "What was that? Like, what was that? I know that was a negative energy." And he's like, "You didn't close your energy off after the session." And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
he was like, "I'm teaching you." And I was like, "Oh my God, why'd you have to do it like that?" He's like, "Because you needed the reminder." So it's just
Oh my
like,
God.
and that's the only time it's happened. I think that was he was just testing me of like, Riley, you need to close it off. And it's really setting the intention. I set the intention to release the energy back to this person, or to
Mm.
release to be back in my own energy and release the cord with that person.
Yeah, that is so interesting because, yeah, when I do NLP sessions, for example, with my clients, it's very draining.
Mm.
And even though it's just half an hour, it feels like I ran a marathon. And yeah, it's, it is, again, need to close off the loops and the energy and even restore that and get back into grounding.
Yeah, and you can also imagine like a energetic um an energy ball around yourself and the other person. Because
Mhm.
sometimes we'll make an energy ball like around us now together. So if
Yeah.
you make two, like one around you and one around them, then you're actually separated.
Oh,
So
amazing.
like yeah, and it all happens in the intention of it.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
is such, yeah, definitely something I will be doing a lot more of because yeah, it is energy work it is very tiring for the person doing the things and obviously the person who's receiving it as well. Because I know my clients are always like, oh my God, I need to go have a
Yes.
nap. I'm like, yeah, you do. So
Yeah, definitely. I know. Yeah, it can be like that. And I think after I got activated in light language,
yeah.
that's where I really learned about energetics. Because energetics and that is quite separate to is somewhat separate to channeling. There's like different levels. Channeling is more like you step onto a frequency on it's like a radio. You step onto the
Mm.
channel on a particular like string of a guitar, and then you're able to tap into different messages and lines of communication. Versus the energy, like light language that I do is more working on the chakras, working on the body's field and things like that. So they are similar but slightly different modalities. There's so many modalities now, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there really is. And I don't know if you've done access bars and that was really powerful. I had a couple of those types of sessions and it was just crazy to have that experience because you don't realize like obviously the channels that are, running through you and they can be blocked. And I guess similar to Reiki, right? Like there's so many different things, so many
Yes.
modalities.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, light language is quite similar to Reiki.
Hmm.
I think it's a deeper, more integrated, multidimensional piece. But yeah, they're all quite similar. I haven't done bars, but I have heard of it. And yeah, looks fantastic.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to know what your thoughts around manifestation and how does that fit into your line of work as well?
It's interesting you asked that because when I first filmed Hack Your Intuition, which is tapping into your higher self, one of my mini
Mm.
courses, I when I started, my guides were like, Riley, this isn't a manifestation class. And I was like, oh, all right. Because I was like, oh, I'll do some manifestation in it, blah, blah. And they're like, no, you're not teaching manifestation, Riley. I was like,
Hmm.
okay. And then I like had to deepen into what I was teaching because I feel like channeling as it's come out is actually quite different to being psychic, only slightly. And channeling is not so much about the future or anything,
Hmm.
it's more about calling in messages and information so that you can co-create something like a
Yeah.
book, like a new material, new information, maybe a new language, like whatever comes through in the channel, we're meant to use it to create in the 3D now. So yeah, I think the manifestation stuff, I'm probably still learning how to manifest, actually, if I'm
Yeah.
really honest,
Yeah.
because I've really sat with like, what am I teaching? Like I pulled so many layers away this year. I thought I
Hmm.
was going to build. build out a whole marketing course, which I did, and then I didn't really even have have many like my guides were just like, no, you're meant to that identity is actually meant to be just you're meant to say goodbye completely to that,
Yeah,
which was
wow.
really hard for me to do this year because for 8 years I was a marketing manager.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
And
Oh,
then like I think and I was just having trouble. I was just like, why isn't this working? Like I'm incredible at this. And I had a new roommate come in, Justin, and he works deeply around he's very connected to heart coherence.
hmm.
And even just being in his field, I had this like weird energy shift and it just was like this shadow that came across me and was like, Riley, the marketing isn't important right now. It's not
Wow.
important of what you're meant to do. And so it was just like this realization of like, oh, I have to pull another a layer off to unlock like what my soul's really here to do.
Hmm.
And I think that can be really confronting and hard for people to actually go deeper with what their soul wants because their ego also wants something. I wanted to prove to people and that I'm incredible at marketing and that I am amazing at marketing
Yeah.
because I feel like I never really got that opportunity to share the world of like, it's an ego thing. So I had to
Yeah.
really let go of my ego this year, which was probably like, that was quite hard to do because there's another piece that my soul is actually wants me to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That is fascinating. I love that. And, it's so interesting you being in the corporate world as well. And, then changing completely to, something that people are like, what are you talking about, Riley? Right. And I probably experienced that as well, like similar, going from corporate for 23 years. And then I've decided, oh, I'm going to do this business now and I'm going to talk about manifestation and business and all these things. And yeah, it was such a huge thing. And like the ego does kick in. It's like, well, who are you? Right? This is a person you've been for the last 2 decades. Who are you really going to be now? And yeah, really understanding who your identity is and your purpose.
Yeah, 100%. So I definitely had to build that out deeper. Like I love singing and I'm like, okay, well, I get to explore that. Like I didn't just
Yeah.
want to I didn't just want it to be channeling either. Like
Mm.
I think that's why like I'm really still motivated about um meditation and like putting that out to the world and channeling meditation. And I just know that like once we allow ourselves to let go of the layers,
Hmm.
and like what you teach around the conditioning, it's like we can allow ourselves to actually embody what our soul actually desires for us. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I would love your take on manifestation versus, when you go to a psychic and they tell you this is what's going to happen in your life and, these things, because manifestation for me is like you are the creator. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter who says what outside of you. You get to dictate what your life will look like. And obviously, when you get over the limited beliefs and things like that. But how do what are your thoughts around when people go to psychics and they rely on a psychic to tell them what their future looks like?
Yeah. I mean, it's always a probability. It's never a fixed outcome.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing. It is it's like there are probabilities. So um I feel I'm in my sessions, I'm going to channel your higher self and what you need to know now.
Yeah.
Like because then they can take that and go use that. So
Hmm.
I don't really look at that too far like this is your whole year. Like actually around channeling their higher self, their soul and the guides to give them information now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
which
that's
is
so
really
interesting.
important piece. Mm,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, because then they are able to co-create their future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I always found that so interesting. It's like, you're going to put, everything into somebody to tell you what to do and how your life's going to unfold. And half the time it's not real anyway. And because you're always manifesting yourself. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, again, we can only yeah, give, I guess, probabilities, which
Mm,
um yeah, I mean, like it's all kind of gonna be the piece for what they need in that moment anyway. And yeah, so with channeling is let's receive the information, but also let me teach you how to channel so that you can utilize the information and create for yourself. Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
better way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is so amazing. I love that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like I'm so grateful to have you on today and for us to sort of talk into both topics. I think that was really important for people to give the context of both. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. No, it has been so much fun and just even learning more about, the stuff that you do with your clients. It's so fascinating because I love that stuff as well. And I think they're really intertwined, really, aren't they? Manifestation and channeling and things like that. They're all, you tapping into this higher power and internally as well. So, yeah, it's been amazing. So, thank you so much for having me, Riley.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I will definitely share the